They fled bombs and bullets only to end up here on top of a garbage dump. Here in Deir el-Balah, dozens of families have pitched tents on what used to be a landfill site. With nowhere else to go, this stretch of toxic ground has become their only refuge.
We
were displaced like many people from the north because of the destruction and the devastation. We were searching all over for a decent place where we can stay, but that costs money to rent a small piece of land. We can't afford that. We kept looking around, but we didn't find any other place but here. As you can see, it is nothing but garbage, sewage, all kinds of pollution, bacteria and germs. I'm cooking my food in the midst of garbage. Where else can we go? We are trying to clean as much as we can until we figure out a way out of this misery.
This makeshift camp in Deir el-Balah is one of the many scattered across central Gaza. Since the intensified military operations in Gaza City, entire neighborhoods have been flattened, forcing tens of thousands to flee south, many on foot with nothing but what they could carry.
I was forced to move from the north to the south of Gaza, and I paid a lot of money to get here after the Israeli army claimed that there are safe areas. But here we are, we couldn't find anywhere to stay except this landfill, the only place where we can stay. This place is full of diseases. I am sick. Look at me.
Among the people here is Aisha Abu Ghuf, a mother from Beit Hanoun in northern Gaza. First displaced by airstrikes in the north, then again from Gaza City, she tried to reach Al-Mawasi in Khan Yunis, a so-called safe zone, but there was no space left. She came here to a dump.
We ended up here with garbage surrounding us from all corners because there is nowhere else to go. All our children are sick and suffer from diseases, and there are no doctors around, no medicine. Even when we go to hospital, they have no medication to treat these kids who are suffering from scabies. You see it with your own eyes. The kids have nothing around but garbage wherever they go.
Palestinian families have been struggling, suffering. Not only the fact that they made it all the way from the Gaza City under fire, under Israeli artillery shelling, quad captures, but even here, finding a place, pitching their tent is a whole different struggle. The Israeli forces left Palestinians with zero options. Even a place, a space to pitch their tent is unavailable. So that's why Palestinians were forced not only to flee, but also forced to live between the garbage and sewage.
Even the most resilient families may have little options to escape what's left of Gaza altogether if Israel gives them the chance to leave. Hind al-Khoudary, Al Jazeera, Deir el-Balah, Gaza, Palestine.
Olga Cherevko is spokesperson for the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. She's joining us from Deir el-Balah in Gaza. Thank you very much for being with us. I just want to pick up on what Hind was reporting on there just a moment ago. The fact that people are having to pitch their tents in landfills on top of the humanitarian crisis that we have been talking about for months now in Gaza. Of course, there is now going to be the risk of the spread of disease.
Thank you, Rob. Exactly. The situation here is really nothing short of cataclysmic. As the previous correspondent said, it's a constant stream of people coming from the north. Many are coming on foot. And of course, it is adding to the already extremely difficult situation that we had in the south, because people were living in extremely cramped conditions. Their tents that go all the way to the waterline on the beach. Of course, they're also affected every time the tides rise. The sanitation issues, the hygiene conditions are so dire that, of course, they lead to a massive spread of diseases, skin rashes, and all kinds of public health crises.
I want to ask you about the humanitarian aid that's getting into Gaza or not, or the amount of it and where. Kogat, the Israeli military agency that manages aid to Gaza, it said in an online statement 230 aid trucks have gone through the southern Karam Abu Salem crossing, it's also known as Karam Shalom in Hebrew, and through the Zikim crossing in the north. What's your understanding of how much aid is getting into Gaza and where?
So Zikim crossing remains closed since, I believe, last Friday. We are getting some aid, some supplies through the Kerem Shalom, the Kerem Absalom crossing. But as we've said many times, the volume of these supplies remains insufficient to meet people's needs. People's needs are extremely dire here. And on top of this, we're also facing massive obstacles to be able to deliver these supplies to the people in need. So we cannot at the moment use our community-based mechanisms to scale up assistance to really reach the people who need this assistance the most. Some of these obstacles are, I will give you an example. Just a couple of days ago, I went to Gaza City to deliver medical supplies to a hospital. And it took us, we only succeeded on the second day because the first day we were told, while the mission was already in progress, but we were already at Wadi Gaza Bridge, we were told by the Israeli authorities that the mission was denied from that point on. So we had to return and try again the next day. On the next day, we succeeded, but it took us 14 hours because, of course, the road is extremely congested, and everything takes many hours to go and return. And then in the last few days, multiple missions to the north to deliver supplies were either denied outright or denied while they were in progress. So these are the obstacles that we continue to face, and this is on top of the fact that not enough aid is entering.
Yeah, I can understand the logistical issues that you're talking about with regard trying to get aid to the north, given the fact that Zikim crossing appears to be closed. At the same time, of course, with more people moving southwards, I would imagine that's going to put greater pressure on the level of aid that is available in the south when you've got more people going for a limited amount of supplies.
Exactly. As I mentioned, the situation was already extremely strained and extremely overcrowded. And with the influx of new people arriving, it is putting an additional strain on the services that many of them are on the verge of collapse. This includes, of course, the healthcare system, where the facilities that are still operating are doing so amid shortages of basic medicines, of critical equipment, of course, blood. And this is still while mass casualties are continuing to arrive across Gaza. Of course, this is more the strikes are intensified in northern Gaza, but the strikes are continuing across Gaza. So this is putting a massive strain on all the services and the supplies that are needed.
Now, I understand, of course, that you're in el-Balah, which is towards the centre of the Gaza Strip. But if this push southwards continue, we see people moving in the numbers that they have been so far. How bad, in your estimation, could things get? And what is left for people? What options are left for people once they head south?
Well, we already see that people really don't have options, because just in the last 3 days, I've been speaking with people in southern Gaza, in Deir and Khan Yunis, the ones that have just arrived or a couple of days ago to southern Gaza from the north, and trying to understand how they came, what made them decide to settle where they were. Many of them are literally sitting on the side of the street, and they don't know where they're going to go because they've been told to move. They don't have a place. The areas are completely taken and occupied and overcrowded. So yesterday, for example, I met a family who had been wandering around for 4 days, barefoot. That was just, and they came from Jabalia, and they still hadn't found a place by the time I met them. This morning, I met a family that also came from Gaza City, and they had been sitting on the side of the road for 4 days. They're just sleeping under a sheet, basically, covering them for shade. And these are stories that are really prevalent and are of so many people that really the depth of suffering is beyond description here.
Olga Chatovko, we appreciate you being with us on Al Jazeera and giving us your update on the situation there. Thank you very much indeed.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.